Welcome to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast with Darren Mitchell. If you're a sales leader looking to take your leadership to a whole new level, then this is the podcast for you. We'll be exploring tips, techniques, and strategies to help you take your leadership to the exceptional level and allow you to enjoy more money, more meaning, and better sales results. All right, welcome back to the Exceptional Sales Leader Podcast, and a very special welcome coming in from Los Angeles, California, Mr. Joe Crisara. How are you, my friend?
How you doing, Darren? Thanks so much for inviting me here and making me part of it. I definitely have listened to quite a few of your podcasts, and I think that the world is lucky to have a provider like you who takes the time to spread different ideas to create value. So that's really great. Thank you for inviting me here.
No, I greatly appreciate it, and thanks for listening. So it's one thing about podcasts, Joe. I'm not sure about you, whether you know this, but it's really hard to identify who actually listens.
Right?
Sometimes says, "Oh, I listened to your podcast the other day. It was fantastic. Oh, appreciate it. Thank you." It's good to know. But no, it's great to have you on the podcast. And you're known as America's Services Sales Coach. You run a business called Service MVP, contractorselling.com, and yeah, sometimes referred to as Uncle Joe. Is that right?
That's it, Uncle Joe. That's what the people of course, that was labeled by my clients. I didn't make that up. They just call me because I'm old. I think it's because I'm old. That's what it is.
So I'm really looking forward to this conversation, though, Joe, because you've got a background in contractor sales, running home businesses in terms of contractor businesses and plumbers, comfort advisor, electricians, HVAC techs. But you spend your time now working with these organizations to help them unleash the potential of their services business. And you talk a lot about ethics in selling. So really looking forward to this and delving in. As we begin the podcast, I always like to ask the question of the guests in terms of their background and what led them to do this. So for the benefit of the listeners, can you just give us a bit of a background in terms of how you started out in your career and what led you to create what you now do in terms of Service MVP?
Well, I've been in the service business since 1977. So for roughly 48 years, I've been in the service business working different things like restaurants and plumber. I was a plumber, I'm an air conditioning tech, electrician, all that kind of stuff. And I eventually ran a business. But I made a mistake when I started a business. I thought because I knew how to do HVAC, plumbing, and electrical, that I would know how to run a business like that. And I was not really prepared to do that. So I was not really prepared to know how to price my services or how to communicate value. So my paradigm, the way I saw things, was the low bidder gets the job, which is find out what other people are choosing and then undercut their price by a few bucks here and there, maybe a couple $100. And that's the way I thought people got jobs, or that's how they got things. And by doing it that way, I wound up about $471,000 in debt by 1991. 1977 knew the business. 85, I started a business and I drove it into debt by 1991. And then, so I was like the worst salesperson in the world. And even today, I don't consider myself a great salesperson. I don't think we need to sell somebody on something that's needed. Like if you need a service, that's not something that needs to be sold. It's something that needs to be easy to do business with. That's why I try to make sure I put it now, right?
Yeah.
But because one of my clients took pity on me, a guy named Dave, who was one of my clients, he said, "Joe, why are you always trying to lower your price to get business?" He goes, "You're not supposed to lower your price." He goes, "I sell pharmaceuticals and we can't lower our price. We have to create value." And so he showed me the science. He gave me some really great information, like the Dale Carnegie, how to connect with people training. He got me the 7 Habits training, and he showed me a special manual from Harvard University, which is a prestigious university similar to Oxford and England or whatnot. There was a whole book on the science of pricing, and I didn't realize that not only should you have just the one price you do, but that you would create tiered pricing of premium, mid-range, and economy choices for every time you offer a service. And when I did that, and I learned how to connect with people and make those solutions personalized and customized, and then he gave me a phrase, a question called "What should we do?" So here's the prices. Just say, "What should we do?" Here's the prices. What should we do? And then the client's like, "That's a lot of money." And you say, I understand it's a high investment, but it's an investment in your family. So what should we do? I'm going to hold off on this for now. Okay, so what should we do? Yeah, could you explain the top option to me? Well, that's a good choice. What do you like about it? Well, it gives me the 10-year service agreement. Yeah, so what should we do? Let's go ahead and get that one done. So the bottom line is those words, those four words, what should we do, along with the pricing being accurate. And what happened is that my very first time I tried this, it didn't take long. My average sale when I did service was about, it's embarrassing to even say, about $75 a call. I was doing service for HVAC for people,
Yeah.
employing. And on my very first call, I tried it doing premium mid-range economy options. I sold $1,250 on that first call. Remember, this is '90s money, so not today.
Yeah.
But and then the next call, I would have normally gotten probably $150 for a part on a system, and I wound up selling it the whole solution, not the same part, but now a bigger solution that included all the entire system renovation, and I made $3,800 on that.
Wow.
So I literally multiplied my sales by over 10 times the amount immediately. And within, interesting thing is I was 471,000 in debt, and I was so broke I couldn't even afford to go bankrupt. I couldn't even hire an attorney to make me go bankrupt. It was like so bad, right? And I went through a divorce. My first wife had bipolar disorder, so it was I wouldn't wish anything that I went through on what I went through, but I did learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
Here's the cool part. In 1991, January of 1991, I was $471,000 in debt. By December of 1994, I was debt free. I was completely debt free, and understand I still had to run the business and pay employees and everything, plus pay off $471,000. So I had to
Mm.
make enough profit to not just run the business, but enough profit to pay off that past debt. And the cool part is, Darren, once I paid off that debt, I was just free to keep the additional money myself, and that was my lesson. And my lesson was that my paradigm changed from people don't buy because of the lower price. Matter of fact, the science of pricing will show you that if you offer two premium, two mid-range, and two economy choices, the least expensive one will only be chosen 2% of the time. The top two options will be chosen 15%, and the middle two options will be chosen 74%. So the vast majority of people will purchase a higher quality and reliability, a better safety and health solution, a better customer service solution if you
Mm.
offer it. So the
Mm.
biggest paradigm I had is I was afraid to offer more because I just didn't think people would buy. I assumed that people weren't going to purchase it, so I never offered it. But
Yeah.
when I remove that assumption, I would say assumptions are like the graveyard of lost opportunity. And when I removed the assumption that people wouldn't purchase more, I just said, well, who am I to decide? Just
Yeah.
offer two premium, two mid range, and two. Now the idea is how do I come up with that? That's kind of what I teach today, right? So in a way, I just make it easy to do business with, and I create premium, mid range, economy choices for everybody. And I just ask those magic words. What should we do? And oddly enough, people just purchase. That's a weird part. It's not a lot of skill. It's just a lot of conviction that you do things the same way every time, and it just works. That's all I can tell you. It's magic. It's the closest thing I can ever say to magic or divine intervention of some sort. Because whether you believe in a higher purpose or not, or higher power or not, definitely I have to say there's something in the universe where when it works, it is sort of magical in a way. Does that make sense, Darren?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. And it's as you're talking, I'm thinking back the book I read, oh, probably 15 years ago. I think it was called Predictably Irrational. And I
I
think it
just
was
I just interviewed Dan Ariely 2 months ago. I
you
interviewed
interviewed
him
him.
my podcast. Yeah, it's Service MVP podcast. Dan is a great friend, and he's one of the people that I studied back in that day. He compiled some of those studies that I was
Yeah,
talking about, and that's the cool part, And there's never been a better time, all the listeners out there to check out what I'm saying without even purchasing from me. You could just say, hey, what happens when you do tiered pricing with premium, mid-range, economy choices and put it in the chat GPT?
mm,
It'll tell you the statistics. And
yeah,
like it took me 3 years to come up with all that. And reading books, paper books. Now it's an embarrassment of riches, the information that's available to the average person for very little cost or no cost, really.
yeah,
The cool part about that, though, it's like a third party validation of everything I taught, because people say that that's just too easy. It's not possible what you're saying. I'm like, well, put it in the chat GPT and it'll tell you.
yeah,
That's cool part is that I love the fact that in today's modern technology, with the different softwares that are out there and the different AI solutions, that the things I've been saying for 40 years have now been proven to be factual. That's the thing that, right? So that's the cool part. That's neat.
So Uncle Joe is almost like ChatGPT now.
Right, well, they call it JPT, right? Joe.
JPT.
Well, because there's not any. I tell you what, if anybody is and every business is a service business, Darren.
Yeah.
Like, even if you sell dirt, there's a service of harvesting that dirt, delivering that dirt, making sure you're accountable for safety of the dirt.
Mm,
So no matter even anything you provide, even things that don't seem like a service, are literally without a company to provide it. Then the company is the service, right? If
mm.
you're nobody just buys. If you wanted to get dirt, you can. I mean, Australia is full of dirt. You could just go out there with a
That's
dump truck
awesome.
and a shovel and go get some dirt. But there are companies that distribute dirt because they need a predictable storage of dirt, and they need a
Yeah.
certain quality. There's more like cactus oriented dirt, and more grass oriented dirt, and more dirt
Mm,
for tree. Like, there's different things. Like, so you wouldn't realize how many solutions are available for something as simple as dirt, and where you could get as much as you want, because you drive out to the outback and go harvest some if you want to. But there's still businesses that provide that service, and that service, by storing it, delivering it, acquiring it, guaranteeing it, those are the things that create a company. And those are the things you have to focus on, not on the product, but on the service
mm,
it takes to deliver it. That's what I truly
mm.
believe.
Nice. And you mentioned before that back in 1985, you were pricing based on, I guess, competitive forces and saying, well, the only way to try and get business is to undercut my competition, which, by the way, it still happens today in 2024. It's
Absolutely.
staggering. It's
There's two groups
staggering.
of people. There's two groups of people, Darren. There's people who run a business who know their costs, and they know how to put a profit on top of their cost.
Yeah.
And then there's other people I call cement heads, who do what I used to do, and they just find the price that's in the market price, and then they lower the price to be lower than the market. And that's why I call myself. Well, I was a cement head. I didn't know. I really can't blame myself, though, because I was just not informed, right? I didn't know. But the truth is, there's some people who are so committed to a dysfunctional way that's really what I have a soft place in my heart, Darren, to put my arm around those people as their uncle, if you will,
Yeah.
uh, to make sure that I show them care, respect, and support, to get them to understand that lowering your price is not going to be a motivator to have somebody purchase. Like, only the worst customer would purchase because the price is lower.
Yes.
A premium customer is not going to. If you tried to offer a lower price to you about a car, like, hey, I got this beautiful car. It's a Rolls Royce. How much does it cost? 25,000. And you'd be like, what's wrong with the car? How could a Rolls
Exactly.
how could a Rolls Royce be 25,000? There's something wrong with it. It's got no, I'm okay. You probably say, because it just sounds too good to be true, right? So the lower price is not. As a matter of fact, it turns people off if the price is too low. And I would say to service providers, no matter what service you have, price it the way you need to find out your cost of doing business,
Mm,
simply by taking everything you spent in the business last year, divide it by 52, and you'll have an idea what it costs per day to run a business. And
Yeah.
then just you got to put profit on top of it. You got to divide it by the reciprocal of the profit. So if you're looking for a 20% profit, you got to divide it by 0.80 that costs, and then it'll give you a 20% profit. And I really firmly believe that every business needs to make at least 25% net profit to make it work long term, to be
Yeah.
sustainable. I firmly believe that.
Nice, nice. So with that as a foundation, I wanted to ask you around I guess the business owner's mindset. So you mentioned before that your pricing strategy was to look at what your competition was doing and undercut them. And there's probably a lot of people doing the similar thing. How much of the mindset shift and the value work that you had to do on yourself as a business owner, how much work was that so you could get to a point where you could ask for a premium price, and how challenging was that in that process?
Well, once I started seeing people purchase like way more than I ever thought they would, I realized that my old paradigm was wrong. It didn't take me longer than probably 2 weeks to realize I can't believe people are buying something for $3,800. I would have originally saw a value of $150 for just like the one part of it,
Yeah.
not giving them the whole option for the whole part of it. And what I saw was just astounded me. So it doesn't take long for you to realize that, your paradigm means the way you look at the world, may be incorrect, because I put it this way, Darren, I think that every one of us is in an inner belief prison where we put ourselves in these walls that surround ourselves
Mm,
only based on the history and the way that we were taught when we were younger. I call it having your mother in the truck with you. So we only have these paradigms based on what we think is normal for something. And then we live that paradigm because we're afraid to challenge it. Because if we challenge the paradigm, it would mean that everything we ever believed was wrong.
yeah.
And I always say our ego cannot take that. I say my ego is not my amigo. I always say that too. My other Joeism, my ego is not my amigo. And I said, if you release that part of it and say, you know what, I'm just going to try the science behind this, and then it works. And then this inner belief prison, we can only escape that prison, the paradigm we have, by testing new ideas and
Mm,
beta testing it to see if it's accurate, to see if our exist. You should everybody here. My biggest thing I would tell you: challenge your current paradigm as to what you think things should be sold for, and then charge more money, and then challenge yourself to come up with a better service that would make it worth that extra money. So
yeah.
there's a truth. I can't take something that costs $150 and sell that same thing for $3,800. But
Yeah.
I can take something that costs $150 and I can say, let me do the whole part of that system, do all the parts in that system to update that whole part of the system as the premium option,
Mm,
give it a 12-year warranty, a 12-year service membership, 12 years of consumables. Something breaks, I'm going to fix it for 12 years. And that's obviously worth more money. You have to charge more to do that. And
yeah.
so um, the different elements I have now figured out, which is, what are all the ingredients that create high value? Once I figured that out, then my paradigm shifted pretty quickly. The good news is I'm still empathetic to the people who don't believe, the people who were like me. I have a unique gift because I see myself in that person, and I'm very empathetic when I see that person. If they come to me,
Yeah.
I don't just trash them or saying you're. I mean, part of me is like,
You're a
man, he's
cement head.
this guy. Part of me is like, this guy's just as stupid as I was before, But I don't tell him that. I just say, you know what, John, you're doing the best you can with what you have to work with. Let me help you. Can I try a few different things and see what you think of this? And they try. If they try it, the science behind it is so solid. Um, that hardly anybody really teaches the science of pricing like Dan Ariely puts out there. So I'm kind of like the bridge between Dan Ariely and putting it into action with a lot of data behind it to show you the results that are going to happen when you do put the pricing out there. Dan's great at creating the studies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm great at putting those studies into action. That's the difference. Make sense? So I think I got myself out of that inner belief prison because once I saw that it was working, the results don't lie. When you thought something was worth $150, now I'm getting $2,400 for it, on average. It doesn't lie. And to get out of debt in 3 years, like everybody said, there's no way you're going to get out of debt based on $75 a call.
Yeah.
You'd have to work forever to get out of debt. And so thank God I didn't make $75 a call. I wound up averaging $2,400 for service calls, and I wound up averaging $25,000 for heating and ACs. But I didn't just do the equipment. I did the duct system, the electrical. I did more stuff for people, and that more service after the thing,
Yeah.
to change the paradigm. So everybody has the ability to do this in any business. And that's what I'm so proud of, is I think this is going to leave a legacy beyond Uncle Joe. I think the material is universal to any business of any kind that seeks to create value. And that's what I'm most proud of.
Nice, nice. Love it. So if we can talk a little bit more about the science, because there'll be people listening to this and think, well, I can't see how my service, whether it be dirt, whether it be electrical, whether it be selling pizzas, whether it be selling mobile phones.
We can play a game if you want to, and you can bring a business like a dentist, for instance, or anything at all. It's not like not the normal traditional business. It doesn't have to be blue collar business. It could be
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely.
Like I've actually taught a dentist how to do this, because the dentist is like, yeah, you got found another cavity. I'm like, you know what you should do? What you should give me some options, premium mid, because right now my teeth are crooked on the bottom teeth. He goes, yeah, you could get Invisalign or you could get braces. I said, so make that one of your options, because you see my teeth, they're
Yeah,
terrible. So now he actually did it. He goes, okay, so how about this? You offer me a service for a 5-year service where I get Invisalign for the premium way, and you fix any cavities and you do cleaning for me for 5 years, maintenance on my teeth, and you package it and bundle it into a price, and then you finance it and give me a monthly payment. And he's like, holy crap, that he goes, because that's going to be a lot of money. I said, well, of course it will be. I said, so he came up with a price. Listen to this though, Matt, Darren, he first priced it too low. He's like, I could probably do that for 17,000. I'm like, no, it's too low. I said, you can't do it for 70,000 because it's money that's for 5 years from now. I said,
yeah, yeah,
you got to stay in business. He said, you can't do it for 70. So he can't, finally we arrived at a price of about 35,000 American money. He's like, I think I'm good there. I was like, okay, good. Now let's finance that. And it came down to a 10-year loan, 120 months, something like, I don't know, $80 a month or whatever. I'm like, see, there you go. So let's try that. And then, so I said, I'll show me. So I actually had him make all the options. And the bottom option just fixed the tooth for like
yeah,
$300, whatever. The top option was do everything. And I'm good for 5 years. I don't got to keep buying it. And I bought the premium option, and my teeth are, as you can see, straight now. And he cleans them every 3 months. I go over there and I get them cleaned for free. I don't have to, not free. I paid for it, right?
yeah.
And
That's part of the monthly
I'm
fee.
taken care of. So really, any business that is needed on a continuing basis of any kind, is something that could sell it. Like when we service MVP, when we do coaching, we do the same thing. Hey, here's the thing where we stay with you for 5 years on this process, right? Here's one
Yeah,
for 3 years. Here's one for 1 year, type of thing. Here's like one course for free. Buy a
yeah,
book. Heck, matter of fact, anybody who's on this podcast, I'll send you a free book. It's called book.servicemvp.com. I'll send you my free Amazon bestseller. You don't got to even pay for it. That's my economy option. But truthfully, when you do it, any business, and there's different ways of doing it too, right? There's premium mid-range economy, which is the best outcome, where people buy more of the premium. If you
mm,
do good, better, and best and start with the cheapest thing, a lot of people, amateurs, make a mistake and they say, yeah, that's just good, better, best, right? I say, no, it's the opposite. Premium mid-range economy means you start with the premium and you end with the economy. Good, better, best means you start with the economy and you end with the premium. But let's put it this way: if you only offer one price for something,
mm,
you're going to get the lowest outcome, because which price are you going to choose? Most likely the cheapest one or the most frugal one.
yeah,
And if you did good, better, best, you might be accused of trying to upsell people. You should get the best one. Here's the basic, here's the cheap one, and here's the great one. I'm trying to sell you on it.
yeah,
Premium mid-range economy, I just say, here's the best one, and then you could choose something for less if you want to.
Yeah.
And that way, so there's a upgrade of, if you do premium, mid-range, economy, 80% of the people will upgrade if you do start with the most premium price and work your way down. If you start with the economy price and work your way up, only 40% will upgrade to
Mm.
the premium prices. And if you only offer one price, nobody, 0% upgrade, because you never offered it. Does that make sense, sir? So that's the key thing. So if you're selling coffee, if you're selling, anything, you're a hairdresser. I've had every business you can imagine. I have brought this concept, and every single one of them say, "I can't believe it was that easy. Just
Yeah.
change, just change the menu." And also be confident. Once you change the menu, you got to be like, "This is the premium option." The dentist. Listen, I went back to him. I've been for it took us 3 years now. I'm in the 3 year part of that 5 year deal. He
Yeah.
said, he said, guess what? I sold 3 platinum packages this week. Uh, he goes, guess what? I'm charging 45,000 now for it. And I'm like, wow, great job. So it changed his life. Hey, I had a dog watching business where you leave your dog on vacation.
Yeah.
I said, why are you just doing the dog in a cage? Why don't you make a bedroom for the dog with a TV and music and stuff like that? And that would be like $400 a night to watch the dog in that room. Then you take him for a walk would be worth more. You'd put him in a cage would be $39 a night, right? Makes
Mm.
sense? And so he did it. And he goes, I can't believe it. Joe, come over and visit me again. I came over. He said, I built a whole big facility with rooms and everything like that for the dog, for watching dogs. And he calls it the dog hotel. And he created a whole new business. So those are the kinds of things that I'm most proud of, when I see that, because people took the concept that I was suffering and somebody helped me with it. So I really feel strongly about paying it forward so other service people in the world can benefit from this. That's what I feel about that.
It's absolutely brilliant. And I don't want to sound disrespectful to you or to Dan hourly, but it's simple. It's a simple concept. It's common sense, and yet often not common practice.
Well, sometimes people do it on accident
Yeah.
because they're like, you know what? Here's the best way, and here's the decent way, the professional way, and here's the cheap way. And they just by accident they did it, and it
Yeah.
probably worked actually,
Yeah.
but they didn't realize it should have been systematized. It should have been something that every opportunity you're going to do it for every single call. It's
Yeah.
like if you, I'm not sure, is Starbucks in Australia? They
Yeah.
have
Yeah. Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Starbucks is a great example. You can look at the premium coffees at the top. And I'm not sure what it costs there, but in the United States, it's like 7.85 for the macchiato or whatever for the maybe $8 probably for the
Yeah.
one macchiato. Then you got the lattes are about $6, and then you get different sizes. You can break it down to about 4 or 5. Then you get coffees are about 2.75, $3, and you can then get a small little taster cup for 50 cents if you want to. So they do the same thing. If you got car washes where you're at,
Mm.
you'll see a perfect example of the car wash, the platinum wash, which we do armor all on your tires and clean your inside of your car and everything. We detail your car. The next one we just do less of it. Then we just no detailing. We'll
Yeah.
vacuum it without detailing it, and then no vacuuming it. Just wash it at the bottom. No wax at the very bottom. So if you do go to a car wash, you'll see a great example of the different choices that we're talking about. A menu in a restaurant,
Mm.
filet mignon, the Wagyu filet mignon at the very top of the menu, followed by the filet mignon Australian beef, and then you and then you go from that to a sirloin or a ribeye, and then you go down to ground beef
Yeah.
or chicken, and then it goes on to just pasta with less money, and then just a salad at the bottom for twelve
Mm.
dollars. Well, the salad is ridiculous for $12,
Mm.
but because people saw the Wagyu filet for 125 or whatever, they're like, yeah, thank God they got a salad for $12. Like it's like, well, that's not bad. Well, look, just give me the Caesar salad for $12, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous for lettuce and dressing and cheese, right?
That's it. That's it.
It's way too much money for that. But nonetheless, the one price impacts the impact of the other prices. Does that make sense?
Mm.
By sticker shocking somebody with something good, anything that's less than that seems like remarkably good, not just good
Yeah.
anymore.
And
Make
it
sense?
gives, and the good thing about this strategy, it gives people choice. And the other thing I want to touch on is the ethics around all this as well. So we're not saying that you are overcharging. So your dentist example, you still to have that service for you, you had to have a picture in your mind in terms of what was valuable for you, right? And
Yes.
you got to make that, and it has to be ethical because we're not talking about being
Well,
unethical here.
here's the thing. Here's the thing about the dentist. He left out. He was going to do stuff that he left out. I said, "Aren't you going to do this and this? I mean, aren't you? If we do it for 17,000, what if somebody does this?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's going to cost more than." I said, "We
Yeah,
can't have that. The premium option, everything's covered." I
yeah,
said, even if you got to do the Invisalign again, that's got to be covered. The Invisalign only costs here about $7,500 for that. I said, but if I need a touch up or if I need a drilling or if I need anything, I said, you got to start figuring what's it going to cost me. And you got to figure out
yeah,
all the worst case scenarios and you got to put that in there. Now, you could even have a good dental care rebate where if you
mm,
don't get that stuff done, you could give a little money back if you want to, or put
mm,
that money in a health savings account or something like that, right? So there's
yeah,
different pivots we can do so that you feel good about it, right? Because
mm,
one thing I say, Darren, here's the biggest thing, and here's the thing that I think will protect everybody. You, the service provider, have to believe in the value of those solutions because if you don't believe in it, then the client's not going to believe in it. So,
yeah,
and then you don't have to apologize when you go to the store because your client bought something for 30,000. They, by the way, I did have options for less than that, but they bought the premium option. The cool part is that when their neighbor asks them, "How much did you pay for that?" and they go 30,000, so you could have got that done for 7,500. And they say, no, 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 not where I'm guaranteed for 5 years, not where they do
yeah,
everything for 5 years.
yeah,
Oh, 5 years. Who's that guy? See, now it becomes attractive. Everybody's like, wait a second, who does that? And it's like
yeah,
this other dentist does that or whatever. So he said that not only, Darren, did his prices triple, not it didn't triple for the same thing. He just sold more of his service at the same time, basically.
mm,
Remember, it's not there. And by doing it, more clients were attracted to him. Now he has branches of different clinics around. He had one location. Now he's got 5 locations because it was so popular that not only did his place grow, it grew beyond what he could control. And he
yeah.
started franchising this and actually creating other places that do it. And that's it, right? So that's even everything from tires to dental, you name it. Dirt, I mentioned dirt before. There's something more premium, mid-range, and economy. The way you deliver it, the way you store it, the way you facilitate it afterward. Uh, a lot of people don't realize they're sitting right on top of a gold mine because
Mm.
they undervalue their own services. Is really what the bottom line is. I always feel.
And they don't know how to price it because they don't, as you said, they don't value it and they don't know what it's really worth.
Yeah, because I
Or
don't think the dentist he didn't I didn't raise his price to 35,000. I just made him aware of all the things he was going to do for 17,000. He's like, "Oh
yeah,
yeah." And like I caught him off guard. I'm like, because I know what it costs to do business. And if you're going to commit to something for like dental work for 5 years, I start
yeah,
thinking about what about root canal? What about this? What about? He's like, oh yeah, if that happens. I said, so you got to cover that. It can't be
yeah,
something where you can't be saying charge more money now at that point. It's got to be that.
yeah,
He goes, well, aren't I insuring it? I said, no. You can see I'm 65 years old and I got a crack in my tooth. I'm going to need root canals. Just put that in the
yeah,
pricing, and
yeah,
that's it. That's it. So I said, you got to use your intelligence. I'm not saying don't be a good dentist. It probably wouldn't be as much for a 5-year-old in that plan, right? It'd be way
yeah,
less money. But the older you get, the more problems you have when you have dental problems. And so I said, then you'd have to increase your price because a lot of things happen to people in their 40s and 50s that
mm,
don't happen to a teenager, for instance. I
yeah,
said, there you go. So it wouldn't have the same price. It had to be customized and relevant to that person. So not only does the price have to be accurate, Darren, but it has to be customized and relevant to each client because I wouldn't sell the same plan to a 15-year-old that I would to a 70-year-old person. Does that make
yeah,
sense? It has to be a
yeah,
different situation there. It's the same with heating and cooling. Some people, a single guy who's got a condo, he's may never be home. It may not be important. But if you got a daughter who's got asthma or eczema, skin condition. They need special equipment that
Mm.
may need more care with that equipment and more maintenance on the equipment that are needed, and so that has to be reflected in the higher cost of the premium option in a way. Make sense?
Which means you've got to then build good connections with your clients and understand what your clients need and what problems they need to solve.
The number one rule in the book, What Should We Do, is be a student of your client and give people your unconditional friendship, whether they want it or not. I would say when I go to somebody's house or somebody comes to me now, I always tell people, just so you know, you've always got my unconditional friendship, whether you do business with me or not. You can I always tell people, just before we start business, you can always tell me yes if you like what we have to offer. You can always tell me no if you don't want to do it. I'll still be your friend if you tell me no. And if you aren't sure, we're just going to schedule another appointment until you are sure. That's what I
Yeah,
tell people. So those are the three outcomes that we're going to have on today's call. I tell people. So if you don't want those outcomes, then we don't have to do this. You can hire somebody else. But that's how we do it. It makes sense. So,
yeah,
I believe managing the project is one of the other things that creates value, to make sure that people took the time and effort to listen to what you to find the problems and provide solutions.
yeah.
They also deserve to have it brought to a conclusion. Bringing things to a conclusion or closing a sale is really a customer service thing, not a sales thing, because we wasted all this time, but we didn't get the job done. That's just terrible. So I really firmly believe that to close the deal is something that is a customer service move, not a sales move. Does that make sense,
Mm.
sir, Darren?
Yeah, it does, because I often say that sales is the ultimate form of service. That if there is a need that the customer has, there's a problem that they've articulated, and we provide a solution to that, it'd be remiss of us not to share a solution and give them the opportunity to make a decision. And that's where I guess the three tiers comes into it. But whether they end up taking that or not, it's totally up to them, because the attitude needs to be, I'm not here to close you. I'm here to serve you. And if you think this is going to be valuable and how badly do you want to solve this problem, I'm here to provide this service. Has to be done
Yeah,
ethically.
yeah, it's not here to close you.
Yeah.
Bringing it to a conclusion is the natural outcome to get the job done. Like, unless you're committing financially and with time, I'm not, it's impossible to get the job done. So,
Mm.
so to conclude the process by getting the project completed or whatever we're doing to get it completed, that is customer service 101, right? Because
Yeah.
to waste time looking at stuff and getting your stomach in a knot, looking and wondering about it, and then not getting the solution at the end of it, what a letdown it is for people. And I can't tell you, Darren, back in the day when I was, before 1991, I did that a lot. I put people through a lot of stress and anxiety and put my prices out there. Negotiated with them and things like that, causing a lot of stress for everybody. And the majority of the time, my closing rate at that time was about 22% or whatever.
Yeah.
Now I haven't lost a sale since 1998. That's how it works now, because I would say I'd rather turn you down than let you down.
Yeah.
If I don't think you're a good fit for me, I'll be the one to say no, not you. I'll,
Yeah.
I'd rather tell my client no, because if you're not a fit for what I'm trying to do for you, or if you're not the kind of client who can appreciate the service I have, then I would say I'd rather turn you down than let you down, because you're asking
Mm.
me to do something in a way that's not going to be about high enough quality for what I provide. Now, if you're looking for something that's going to last for a long time, then I'm the person that you should hire, because my solution will be a legacy in your home or in your life. I'm not here to provide temporary solutions. I'm here to provide a permanent one. It's
Yeah.
not for everybody. Some people like to repetitively do things wrong. I
Yeah.
said I like to do it right the first time and get it done. That's who I am about it. So so gold nugget is I'd rather turn you down than let you down. Just tell people
Yeah.
that if you're not a good fit. Make sense?
Love it. Love it. Love it.
I think it's boundaries, right, Darren? You have to have boundaries. That's why I learned. I was trying to do everything for everybody. Now I've got certain boundaries that I know that my service is only good for people who want the best and want this thing to work. Um,
Yeah.
People who want to explore things, go read a book. Don't
And
hire me, because I'm gonna take action and we're gonna get this across the goal. If you hire me, this is going to get done. Make sense?
Yeah, and if they're looking for discounts and negotiation stuff, probably find somebody else to go work with as
They're
well.
not fully committed.
No,
Um, it's really a commitment, and when people are looking for a lower price, there are frugal consumers looking for a lower price.
yeah,
And I always tell people the cheapest, I would say the cheapest price is the most expensive thing you're going to buy,
mm,
because I'd say probably 90% of my opportunities at Service MVP are by somebody who first saw us and thought it was too expensive, and then they hired somebody else, and then they came back because the other thing didn't work, because they didn't pay enough, and then they say, "Yeah, I'm ready to get the job done right this time," right? And
yeah,
so I always tell people 90% of the people we get are people like you who are afraid to invest in the solution the first time,
yeah,
because if you invest in the solution in the right way, and I would say this, challenge yourself to pay more than the service provider wants, because then you have more accountability as a consumer. When you pay only what the guy wants, then he didn't give you any accountability in the price, because he probably tried to make it less money. But I
mm,
remember one time I hired a painter. This is a good example of that, Darren. I had a painter in my house. He said, I can paint the whole house for like $1,700. And I said, how are you going to paint a house for $1,700? I said, who's going to get the paint? He goes, you go get the paint I said, no, no, no. I said, I'm not going to get the paint. You got to go get the paint. Oh, well, that's going to be like 2,500. And I said, what happens? I said, how are you going to start the project? He goes, well, first you'll have to tape off the baseboards. I said, I'm not taping off no baseboards. You're taping off the baseboards. How much is that going to cost? He goes, oh, you're talking like 4,500 for all that. And I said, that's what I want. And I said, on top of that, I told him, I'm going to give you not 4,500. I'm going to give you 6,000. But here's the deal. This job has to start this Monday and it's got to be finished by Friday. I'll give you 6,000 right now if you do that. But if you don't finish by Friday, I get 2,000 back. I told him that's my negotiation. He goes, holy shit. So he goes, I got to finish this job by Friday. I said, you have to be
yeah,
here at 7 a.m. every day, and you have to finish by 5 p.m. every day. And see, now I can negotiate better service
yeah,
by paying more money. So I actually did the opposite of trying to get him down on price. We both figured 4,500 for a fair price, but I said, I'm going to give you more to get the job done faster.
yeah.
And guess what? He didn't get the job done by Friday. He got it done by Wednesday. So that was even better. So the bottom line is that the bottom line is, challenge yourself, everybody in the world, to find what somebody charges and try to pay extra so you can hold them accountable to a better time frame, a better quality, better service after the thing is over. And then you'll blow the mind of the service. You'll blow their mind. Like, nobody's ever said they want to pay more. Well,
Yeah.
that's because nobody understands that. Most people aren't aware of the fact that service providers underprice their services for the most part, and that
Mm,
if you did pay a little bit more, you would be VIP at that company. That everybody in the company would talk about you, like,
yeah.
hey, there's Darren. That's the guy who paid $1,500 more to get it done by Friday. Oh, that guy, we better do a good job for that guy whenever he calls us, because he'll hold you accountable in a way. So
Yeah.
they know that you're willing to pay for accountability, and then that makes you a VIP customer, and you go right in front of all the other customers to get better service by paying a little bit more. So that's matter of fact, I got my hairstylist. It was a very famous stylist named Lionel Renard, who is a world famous around France and everything. Paris, he's from Paris.
Yeah.
And he's like, I said, I want to use you to get my hair styled. He goes, I'm already full. My book is full. And I said, what do you charge for men's hair? He goes, well, it's going to be like, $150. I said, I'll give you $250, but I got to be in front of the line. He goes, 250. He goes, I only charge 150. I said, I'm going to pay 250, but in matter of fact, I want to pay for 10 treatments up front. So I'm going to give you $2,500. I'm going to come here every 6 weeks, get my hair done. I said, I'll pay for the whole year. He goes, all right, you're in. It was like he let me in because I would have paid more and I pay up front, right? So that is something that I now use the finest stylist in Los Angeles. That normally, by the way, he told me, he goes, guess what? I know you're paying 2,500 a year. I've used him for 5 years now. He goes, guess what? When I heard what you were doing, I start doing with other people. I got one guy paying me 5,000 a year now because I travel to his house and do it. And I said, well,
Wow.
there you go. That's amazing. So this concept I'm talking about, Darren, literally changes the lives of people, rich, poor, and everybody else. And that's what I love about the most is that it's so life changing. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
It does. It does. But it's also paradigm shifting for most people because you, you go to a hairdresser or you go to a barber, you expect just to wait in line, and there's a lot of barbers out there and hairdressers that have no appointment necessary, and you just sit there and wait, and it's like a $25 haircut.
I don't got to wait for anything. I go in there. He has a fresh drink for me. He has an iced tea with mint in it sitting there for me. I get treated like a VIP in that place, right? So not only do I not only do I got to wait in line, I show up at exact time every single 6 weeks. 4 p.m. on Thursdays. I go there on the second Thursday of the beginning of the month and get my hair done. And by the way, they color it. I got gray hair, and he colors it, and cuts it, and things like that. And so that's what keeps me looking like I'm 66 now. That's
Okay.
why I look like I'm probably 45 because I have the hairdresser. So it costs me about 2,500 a year to make myself look 20 years younger. That's the price of doing it. So, but I just want everybody to kind of get an idea that's available with every service provider. You could innovate, help them innovate by saying, "What if I paid you more? Would I get
Mm.
better service?" That's
Yeah,
the key question as a consumer. And truthfully, consumers who pay less get screwed in the end.
yeah,
We all know it. If you pay too little, you get screwed because you get bad treatment because people have to cut corners on the service
that's
because they
it.
don't have enough money to perform it. Make sense?
That's it. So as we bring this into a close, Joe, I wanted to ask you then in that regard, from a company point of view, that whether it be a service provider, whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a dentist who's building a team, how do we create a sales culture within the company, within the organization that can think like that, that thinks
Well,
of
that's a really good point.
service?
It's a really good point, because there's a hierarchy to every business. Um, People start by saying, I'm a good hairdresser, or I'm a good heating and air conditioning, or I'm a good plumber, I'm a good electrician, or I'm a good doctor or dentist. And that's good. But if you're good at the work you do, the work is like the operation of your company. That's the
Mm,
operation. But if you're not good at selling the work, then nobody ever goes to work. So
mm,
you can build a palace of heating and air conditioning with storage and parts and trucks and everything like that. But if nobody buys the service, then everybody goes home and they're on the dole, right? They wind up
mm.
getting unemployment or whatever.
Yeah.
The state pays them money as opposed to the business because they wind up being unemployed. So here's the hierarchy of every service business of any kind, any business really, not just service. At the very top is the brand. So every brand makes a promise to its community everywhere around the world, and you can see what it's trying to do differently by the way it promises things to customers, the brand.
Mm,
Number two is the sales, because the sales are executing those promises. Um, the brand is promising something, the sales execute that promise by offering the different solutions that the brand is promising.
mm,
And then the workers or the operation serves at the pleasure of the sales team, because the salespeople are executing the promise and telling the people who are doing the work, here's what I sold and here's what you must do, right? Um, and so when those three things got out of whack, when the operation guy is at the top of the company, you're probably not going to charge enough because you don't understand financials, you don't understand marketing or branding, you don't understand
mm.
sales, right? So if you don't understand sales, you're doomed to undercharge for the operation. You're going to build the finest operation known to man that nobody ever purchased. That's the thing about it, right? So, like, we're the best. Yeah, for about 6 months until you go out of business because
Yeah.
you're not making any money, right?
Yeah.
So, and listen, I don't care what culture it is. If you're in Australia, UK, France, I teach people around the whole world, and I find that, we're different in Australia. It's like you're not different. You still put your pants on one leg at a time,
That's
like I do.
right.
And I always say that, the only thing different about us is the accent in our voice,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's our skin color, sometimes it's the food we eat. But really, there's only about 5 things that could be different about somebody, but there's about 1,000 things that are the same. We all need
Mm,
housing, transportation, education, vacations, and recreation. These are things that everybody needs.
mm,
And food, the way we eat and nourish ourselves, that's something that all cultures share.
yeah,
Having raising children, and all the things like that. So those are the things that there's thousands of things that make us the same around the world. But people start to pick out 5 things between Australians and Americans, like our politics is different than Australian politics, and I'm like, that's one. You got me there, and then you got that funny American accent. Yeah, that's two. Now what? Yeah, I can't think of anything. Right. So
no,
there's like 2 things that are different, but there's 1,000 things that are the same. So why don't we focus on the things that were similar on, and that's it. So the universal status of pricing, if you went to France and you couldn't understand French, but you saw a menu that said 75 euros at the top and one at the bottom that said 3 euros, the
mm,
75 euros would be better and you get more of it than if you bought something for 2 euros or 1 euro. Does that make
yeah,
sense? So,
yeah,
so pricing is like the universal language that speaks to everybody in every culture. And that's one thing I'm really proud of as well, that you don't have to be American, or you don't have to, it's not a political thing or not a country thing, or it goes beyond borders, I guess is the best way to put that.
yeah.
And I'm really proud to bring that to people around the world. And I hope that that your podcast does help that mission.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. So, Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. For people who are listening to this who'd like to know more about you and more about what you do at Service MVP, where's the best place for them to go?
Well, you can go to servicemvp.com and get free lessons on our videos there. Just it's right there. It's in the very beginning. We give it's kind of like a puppy dog. We give you the puppy dog to take it home and try it, and then if you want to buy more, you can buy more if you want
Yeah.
to. And then we also the book "What Should We Do" is an Amazon bestseller in the service industry. It sold over 23,000 books. What should we do? It's called "What Should We Do? How to Win." Here's the book cover. What it looks like: How to Win Clients, Double Profits, and Grow Your Home Service Sales. That is on sale at Amazon for $26 American. But if you wanted a free book, we'd be happy to ship it to you for free. You have to pay for shipping though. We would
Yeah.
give you the book for free. You simply pay for shipping. Go to book.salesmvp.service. I'm sorry, book.servicemvp.com, and you will go to a landing page. We can get that book for free if you want to. But I just hope this information here was enough to help people get started and hopefully inspired some people who may be suffering. I don't want you to suffer. I want to help you. That's why in my heart, I want people to get help. That's what I'm here for.
No, absolutely love it. So, Uncle Joe, America's service sales coach, but also the global behemoth that is Service MVP. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and greatly appreciate the wisdom and the guidance you've given us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate you, Darren.
All the best, mate. Thank you for listening to the Exceptional Sales Leader podcast. I trust the information in this episode has been helpful in your journey towards becoming exceptional. And remember, please take the time to rate the show, subscribe to the show so other people can find it. But also, if I can help you, jump on my calendar, go to leadwithdarren.com and let's have a conversation about how I can help you along your journey to being exceptional.